Morning. So Mike gave me a BTS. Mike gave me a link to J is for Justice, and I watched. It was a pre-recorded phone call with Donald Wells. J is for Justice. She brought up a couple of good points in her video, and I like her style. She's doing it. She's doing clean, good work too. Well, one thing that I was unaware of, and this was in regards to an account that someone made in Don's name on YouTube, I'm guessing, and put some stuff out there, and they actually had that video called for either the TBI or the BIs together to go search a lake for her body. Yeah, it's just an all-around bad deal. Now, the other thing that Jay for Justice said was that, and I've picked up on what she said now. They haven't really been putting out a lot of physical attributes in regards to an Amber Alert for Summer. It would sort of lead you to believe that they have more cooking behind the scenes, which is pretty much always the case. Even when they're asking the public for a little bit of help, they don't base everything in the whole world, involving finding this child on the YouTube helpers. Wanted to applaud Jay is for Justice also for sending out some toys for the boys. I think that's really cool. Because when you bash those parents, well, you know what happens. But anyway, the next thing I wanted to touch on was Mr. Dotson. In the phone call with Jay, Donald cleared up the situation about the red truck. I think we're going to have to accept that that's the best that explanation is going to get. It's good. It's not what Mr. Dotson said. So I don't know how, I don't know what's going on. I think that the people that are helping that family, whether it be from the church or from online or whatever, it's probably just best to keep colorful stuff like red trucks and green money. Keep the colorful stuff private. We don't need to bring that stuff up anymore, right? Because it's clearly changed gears, right? So, there is also some complicating verbiage out there in regards to this case, and I wanted to help anyone who wasn't hip to what the lingo is. They are scaling back the investigation, but expanding it at the same time. You can expand an investigation with less agents. What they mean by expanding it is moving it further away from the home, which would take it more into the eyewitness arena, right? They start moving it away from the house because they've covered they've covered 5,000 square acres right there. I don't know what that equates to in linear mileage, but It sure is an awful lot of ground just by, by the sounds of it. So, all this done and, no arrest for the Wells. The one last thing I want to touch on is something that a lot of you guys have heard me harp about, and that is the jury pool there. Not necessarily just there, but everywhere, right? Everywhere that YouTube has a blanket over a case, trying to erect any sort of what you would call a strong jury, unbiasedly strong. That may have already been a problem there. I don't know. But what I will say is now, if there were ever a criminal trial that needed to play out there, it's going to be very difficult. And so then that's where you start hoping that, you start already thinking about change. If you're an attorney that's going to, pull a case from a court up there in Rogers, Hawkins County, you start thinking automatically, oh boy, God forbid that there be any sort of mix-up in this investigation where, falsely the Wells come under the radar, and some charges are actually brought forth because, with the way that the jury pool has been dictated to up there, it's going to be extremely hard to catch a jury that's going to, be predictable one way or another. You get a jury that just doesn't know what's up or down, left or right. There's already so much discrepancy and inconsistency in what's going on up there. Delphi, I always say, guys, the Delphi girls are always going to be the kind of case that you wish for all kids, no matter if they're abducted, come home alive, whatever. When it involves children, the Delphi case is it's just the standard in which cases that involve children should be handled. We don't even have a cause of death in the Delphi case. There were just gag orders being put on all sorts of, the discovery, essentially. There was a gag order put on the discovery, so you didn't hear about any evidence, no COD, no cause of death. You've got a mildly accurate time of death. But so back to the Wells case, you're already, it's already an area where technology is not the friend. It's not an ally in that area. That area in technology, they don't get along. That geograph of the world wasn't created by God to hold cellular service. So, there's just a lot going on there. It is, it seems like it's the perfect place for that. Now, I wanted to, before I leave, I wanted to draw one parallel. And I think that this parallel, I'm seeing a connection in the way that victim families behave. In the Orrin Orson West case, we had Trezell West. He made a comment in the one and only press conference that him and his wife did. He made a comment that he wished that they could search all the neighbors' houses right there. And then you have Don making a similar plea. Of course, it's not a request. You're not going to request law enforcement to search all the neighbors, but it's a plea. It's some sort of plea that I feel like comes from, it comes from some place inside of the guardians of these children, and it's synonymous, right? I mean, it's almost, the verbiage is almost verbatim between Trezell and Don. So when you look at what Trezell has said, and this is how law works, and this is how case study works. You take a scenario that played out one way in a court, right? And they name it, for instance, Roe versus Wade or whatever. And that be a precedent in which other cases are looked at or looked upon. So you could very easily look at the situation that the Wests are in Cal City, parallel to Hawkins County and Candace and Don. You've got the vernacular is just, it's there, it's the same. We've not had any arrests in the Cal City case, and I think each day, as we know, unfortunately, it's a duplicity. And I will close with this. These cases are a duplicity. They are a dichotomy in the sense that the longer the child stays away and the parents aren't arrested, it looks great for the parents, right? But the longer it goes on, it looks worse for the kid. Now you're dealing with a YouTube community that has no foresight and no hindsight. And they have no peripheral either. So if you don't see ahead and you don't see behind and you can't see peripherally is the sides, right? You are just floundering around in a chaotic moment online that has no end game. It has no end game. It starts from nothing and it never ends. Yeah, fuck you, me.